the same range. Yeah, the same range from 24 hours ago, right? Euro's trading the same range this evening, which means buyers will be looking for seller failures to buy the lows, going back to the highs, and sellers will be looking to for continuation below the range down to the expansion target at 11,662 tomorrow. Now, as we talked about last night, and as with any trading range, our goal tomorrow will be to use range rotation to buy low, sell high, focus on failures, and use that pendulum swing to identify targets as this balanced market tries to find new direction for tomorrow. Well, I have to tell you, I was not expecting this today. We talked about this in last night's newsletter. Rotation, right? Channel rotation from the high to the low, rotates from the high. If you recall in last night's newsletter, my exact words were, the last time we tested a range extreme was at the high, so we should be going back to the low. Little did I know, right, that old cement boots over here would take this long to go all the way back down to that low. Well, as you can see, right, slow and steady wins the race, I guess. Better late than never. We're now finally getting that rotation back down to that low. Now you guys are experts on this. Where should we be looking for this price to want to go next? You got it. Back up to that high. How are we going to get there? Well, at the low, we're focused on failures. So seller failures at the lows. How to what? To buy back to the high. At the high, what do we do there? We look for buyer failures. Right? Buyer failures at the high to sell it back down to the low and rinse and repeat. Range rotation, buying the low, selling the high, focusing on failures. And then there was that one last thing I talked about, and that is the pendulum swing. Now remember, what creates a range-bound market is balance, right? Balance. The buyers are cool, the sellers are cool. Everybody's just chilling right inside this range here from 12,664 to 12,163, right? There's balance in the market right now, right? If you were a market profile trader, right, this would be the balance area, right? This would be where all the volume is piled up, right? If you were a balance trader or an auction market theorist, right, this is where all the volume will be piled up. This is why I don't use those complicated charts. You don't really need them. You know, I don't need a chart to tell me that this is where all the volume, right, will be piled up on the euro. You don't need it, right? Look for a flat moving average, look for overlapping price action, and that's where you're going to have the balance area. So if you're an auction profile, if you're a market profile theorist, right? If you follow volume printing, right? Whatever they call it these days, right? They're always trying to find some new ways to sell you guys complicated tools for this stuff. I don't believe you need complicated tools. I think you just need to know how to look at charts. The bottom line is, what do they always talk about, right? Revert back to the mean. We're expecting now there to be attempt to go lower outside of value and then back into value, right? Higher outside of value and then back into value. So no matter what terminology you want to use to describe this, we're in a balanced range. Now, with a balanced market, imagine for a moment now there's a pendulum right in the middle of this, right? As we go down to the low, the pendulum will want to swing back to the high. Right? Now, what if these bears get a little bit excited? What if these bears in the next few hours make a run for it, right? And then we see the seller failure and we look for the buy right back up. Then what? Well, now the pendulum, now this gets fun. And that's exactly what traders are looking for. When we see a range like this, we want to see a nice big attempt at a breakout because historically speaking, most breakouts fail. And so we'll look for that move not just back to the high, but through the high and up to the opposite side. So that's what I'm talking about when I say the pendulum swing here, right, for range traders. Buy that low, going back up to the high, sell that high, going back down to the low, using those failures. So what's a buyer to do right now? Well, first of all, the buyers would love to see these sellers fail, move back up to that high, buyer failure, back to that low. But let's play devil's advocate. What if the sellers did hold this pullback? Well, that'd be the first try. There'd be your second try, and of course, looking for that failure from there. And of course, now that will be your pendulum swing. Now, What if the sellers, though, what if they got a real strong move? Like I'm talking a real strong move, strong enough to entice those sellers into following this thing up. Well, keep in mind, I'm always going to be looking for that to fail. But if it doesn't fail, though, and we do see this continue, where's the target? It'll be at 11,662, that range expansion, right? That'll be the target as we go lower. Question all the breakouts, right? Question these breakouts until you see once, twice, and hold. If you can see it attempt, right, the 2-try rule, if they can continue after those 2 attempts, then we have a strong enough, a reliable enough breakout to want to trade in the direction of that breakout. But until we get there, we're going to continue here, try buying those lows, selling those highs, and focusing on failures. Guys, don't forget, we're going to be doing all this tomorrow morning live in real time with all of our students. Come out and join us. We got a great